Welcome back to Siesta with Suki. As always, thank you so much for joining me. This is part 2 of our just travel talk, right? So I am here with my brother Guy. He is the owner of Let's Travel Today. So you'll see here how to get to his site. And we're talking about just the process of travel, why it's so important to have a travel person, partner, someone there kind of on the other side. So we're not trying to sell you or anything because, we don't do that here. We're going to talk about the real, the nitty. There's some questions that I have that you probably have too, so I'm going to ask them because he's like a cruise specialist. So I got to be honest with you. Sometimes I talk here and I'm like, oh, they've got a captive audience. I'm actually not the captive audience. I'm the one on the other side. You've got to convince me to show up on the cruise ship. So this is his chance to convince me that this all makes sense for me to show up on the cruise. So first thing I want to talk about, so if I want to go on a cruise, let's talk about the food, right? So I remember when we went years ago,
Right.
I won't date myself. I won't tell you how many years ago it was. It was just a buffet, so unlimited drinks. So I don't remember what they paid. Obviously, I don't think I knew. I think I actually do know what they paid. I remember your father talking a lot about the money. I'm pretty sure they paid like $4,000, and he was very serious about letting us know. So I think they paid $4,000 at the time for the 4 of us, and it was on the Royal Caribbean, and it included unlimited food, unlimited drinks. I do remember that they had to give some kind of tip or something to the guy who was kind of assigned to our room.
Right.
So I don't know if they still do that or if it's depending on the cruise line. So let's talk cruise lines. Let's talk the differences between them and then who you are as a person and how you kind of match yourself with the right cruise.
All right. So, very interesting point.
Yes, give me the skinny on the money.
All right. So the first thing is I've actually done the honor of ranking these cruise lines in terms of money, fun, value, etc.
Okay,
So,
can I say here, nothing that our guest says an endorsement or the opinions of our guests are their own opinion, blah, 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 blah. So he's going to rank, they're his rankings, they're not mine. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So these aren't number rankings.
Okay, no problem.
So Carnival, this is a family cruise, usually the most affordable.
Okay.
All right.
But is Carnival family? Because they do the whole, at least they used to do the whole dancing around the ship and a lot of drinking going on a Carnival.
So
okay.
let's speak about that for a second. Right?
Okay, yes.
So the money is important, right? And this is my theory on it. Mm-hmm. You got 3-day cruises, which is the party cruise.
Okay.
You got a 7-day cruise, all right? Mm-hmm. The disparity between the money of a 3-day cruise, which may be around $600, $700.
Per person?
Yeah, per person.
Okay.
To a 7-day cruise, which is around starting probably around like $2,000, not per person, but for 2.
Okay.
All right. It's different. 3 days, you're having fun. You may not come back. Those are, I call probably first-time cruisers. All right. On a 7-day cruise, they have jails on cruise lines. Okay.
Jails,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. So when you go down
Let me tell you how I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you go down to floor 2 and disembarking, there's a jail there, and then there's also the medical place. All right.
Okay.
And they'll keep you in there. All right.
Oh.
So you don't want on a 7-day cruise. That's why you don't see it's popping off on 7-day cruises, because now you wasted a lot of money. All right. It pops off on 3-day cruises because they didn't spend that much. Okay. 7-day, they spent
What does pop off mean? Tell me what.
Like, you'll see where it says like they have fights and all that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are sometimes people consider a Carnival like the ghetto line because they have a lot of fights.
Okay.
But that's on 3-day cruises, right?
Okay. So now you all know. Okay.
All right. So.
And they'll put you in so there's like security and they'll just put you in
security.
jail.
They'll escort you and they'll put you in a jail or they'll lock you in your room.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's very serious. Actually,
Okay.
on our 7-day cruise that we just went on, there was a lady on our floor and they had her like this, like, bringing her to her room. She was there. She was pretty drunk. So,
okay. Okay, so they're not going to let you just...
Yeah, you're not going to be wilding out.
Okay.
Right? And the cops are going to be waiting for you at the next port.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you go...
It's serious, yeah.
Oh, man, you go into jail and then jail. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real deal.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So this is the most affordable family cruise, right?
Okay.
In my opinion, from all the cruise lines that I've been on, this is actually the best family cruise. Like
The Carnival 7-day.
right.
Okay.
Well, not
No.
the days, but the kids club for kids.
Okay.
Man, they got PS5, Switches. You go in there, they got like pods for the kids could sit in, movies. No wonder they don't want to come out. All right. So
Do they do the when they do the kids club, like somebody, because I remember, again, this was like years ago, you and Jeremy did some old scavenger hunt on the cruise ship, but you literally you're like little kids running around the cruise ship, knocking on different doors and stuff. And I remember thinking, yo, whose idea is this?
So it's very interesting you said that. So on our recent cruise we went on for Easter, they did a scavenger hunt kind of thing. They had stations, but everybody was running around the whole ship. It was a whole big thing. But in the end, it gave you some time to spend with your child.
Oh, you were responsible for?
Yeah, you do it with them.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And then you're running around the ship to different places. They give you candy.
Yeah, that's okay. Like if I'm with them, I get it.
Right.
I mean, you and Jeremy, it was just a free for all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking here. I'm like, they were like, where you going? I'm like, where you guys going? We're going to the top.
Yeah, they have scavenger hunts for older kids also, but you don't need to be with your parents because you're older. So
Okay.
then you have Royal Caribbean.
Oh, Kids Club, by the way. What age does it go to?
The Kids Club will go up to age 17.
Okay.
All right, so it starts at 2, and then it'll go up to age 17.
Okay.
All right.
And what's the drinking age? Not that I'm sending anybody a drink. I'm just curious. It's the same.
Yeah, the drinking age is the
It's
same.
21?
21, right.
Okay. I feel like it was 18 when, as a matter of fact, I know it was 18 when we went back then.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not doing that
They're
anymore.
not doing
Okay,
that,
yes, okay.
so.
So the free for all, the cruise I remember is no longer. Okay, we got more rules now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kids Club, you've got 2 to 17. And so the reason you feel like Carnival is the best because the Kids Club is there. You're sure that your kids they're happy. They don't want to see you. And you're happy because they're happy and you get to kind of just be free.
Yeah, and another thing also is that we have one of our kids is slightly autistic. So with loud noises and stuff that kind of bothers him, they actually have a program for that, and they've been rated
Oh, okay.
with that. So they give you headphones, little fidget spinners, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
While you're on there, they give you a little phone if there's any sort of situation.
So only Carnival does this?
I think some of the other ones does it, but Carnival like advertises it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So this is the big family cruise. All right. And I always tell people too, when you're making this cruise decision, right? I've seen people that say, well, yeah, we've only did X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, you've only been on a 5-day cruise. Like a 7-day cruise, man, my ship has a roller coaster. So, all right, we're not the same right now. All right. So, yeah, that's a wild concept because I posted this video on my Instagram and it has over 1 million views. Mm-hmm. And so that's a wild concept. Like, whoa, is a roller coaster on the ship? There is, but it depends on which price range or how many days you go on.
Okay.
Because it's usually a smaller, older ship when you're going on for the small times.
Okay. Well, let's talk the money because I know people budget and then they go on the cruise ship and there's like extras, right?
Right.
So what are the extras? Do we, like the fine print, right? When I sign up and it tells me all included, what does that mean? Does that mean actual all alcoholic drinks? Is there a certain number of times I can have orange juice in a day? Like, what's that really mean?
Okay, so this is a great question. All right.
I know, that's why we're here.
Great question.
Okay.
All right, so normally when we're starting with Carnival, and I'll get to the other cruise lines,
Okay.
the drink package is separate. All right.
Okay. So I've paid $600-700 or whatever I've paid,
Right.
and then I can actually pay for a drink package on top of that.
Right.
Okay.
And here's the kicker also, all right. The drink package is for 2.
2 what? 2 people?
2 people. So you can't be like, oh, I'm getting the drink package and I'm with my wife, she doesn't drink. No. If you get the drink package, she has to get the drink package, regardless of whether she drinks or not.
Okay,
And
so how
that's-
much is the drink package? Just general.
Drink package is usually about $55 to $60 a day.
Okay, so $55 to $60 a day. Okay. And you have to sign up for every day. Like there's no, I can't just, I don't know, Monday drink package and no other day. Can I do
No.
that? No, so I got to do
You
the
have to
whole.
get it for the whole cruise.
Okay, so they break it down per day. But if I'm on a 5-day cruise, that's almost like $300.
Yeah, it depends though, right? Because the drinks are like if you've been to a club before, they're like $16 or $17.
That's because you live in North Carolina. Because here in Mexico and Oaxaca, we can do better than that. So
No,
it
but I'm
depends.
saying like they're giving you like
Mixed drinks.
the mixed drinks that they cost a lot, so it ends up, and then you have up to 15 drinks a day, so it ends up
15 drinks a day.
15 drinks a day for Carnival.
Wow. Okay, so 15 alcoholic drinks or just
Alcoholic drinks.
okay. So what about the other drinks?
So all the other drinks, as long as you get the alcoholic drink package, everything else is included.
So let's say you don't get the alcoholic drink package.
Then there is a package it's called like the bubbles package.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually like $10 a day or something like that, and then you can get all unlimited soda.
So what if you don't want to do any of that? Like what happens? You don't drink?
You're gonna have to pay. So there's certain places you could get like orange juice and stuff around the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But now what I've seen recently is like, let's say you want to get soda, give you like this 12-ounce little soda cup about this big, right? Put it in the dispenser, and there's you tap your card, and there's a time limit about like 10 seconds or so, right? So till that thing fills up. And then while it's filling up, you're getting charged like 20 cents, 30 cents or whatever. So it's like $2 for a drink, for a
So
soda.
there's no drinks aren't just included in any way? Like I've got to buy something?
I would recommend buying at least the bubbles package because you're going to come out with a bill at the end.
Okay, because the drinks are not included basically in any way.
Yeah, unless you're in that part of the ship. These ships are big now, 17 floors.
Okay.
So if I don't want to go up to floor 16 to get a drink if I'm on floor 4,
Okay.
right? Or unless I'm paying out of pocket.
Okay.
So that's where the free drink would be like. floor
Okay,
16.
so okay, I'm just looking out for the budget conscious person.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So then let's say, what's the? Typically, I'm assuming you tip the people who clean the room, and you tip the person who is in charge of. Do they still do that? The whole dinner with the captain deal and all of that.
They do still do the dinner with the captain, and in terms of tipping, this is just my personal preference here. I do the people that I deal with. Okay, so they're gonna give you in the beginning when you're first booking all automatic gratuities added. All right, this is gonna be added regardless.
So when you're first booking, so I just want to make sure I've got my math going. I paid $600. We're just going to go with the 605 day.
Right.
I paid $600 for me, and there's somebody with me, so we both paid $600. So we're at $1,200.
Right.
We probably going to get the drink package because by the time you do the math, it's 2 drinks anyway,
Right.
and it's the same money. So okay, so I'm up to like $900 a person
Right.
because we've done the drink package, and then now we're talking tips. Okay, so
Yes.
you tip
So-
the people that you deal with. You say
So now they're gonna charge you in the beginning like $240 or something like that,
$240.
depending on
Okay.
the gratuities. The gratuities they charge
So they charge it in advance.
in advance. Right?
Okay.
You can select and choose not to pay the gratuities,
Okay.
which I often do, but you have to go to customer service and tell them to remove it. That you're gonna pay out in cash, and I
Okay.
usually just pay my room steward.
Okay.
Right, because all the money is not spread out evenly. Right,
Okay.
the captain makes more than the room steward. Right, so
Okay. So you opt to pay the people directly.
right.
Okay.
Right.
But do you still give them the equivalent of the 240? That seems like a lot.
What is that? No,
No.
I just give him like $100 or something like that.
Wow. I'm gonna go on a
But
cruise
that
ship,
goes a
100
long way
bucks.
if you're from.
I'm saying you're on the cruise ship, that your food's included, and there's a lot going on there. So this is not bad. Okay.
Yeah, like for them that they're.
So $100 tip. This is really nice. So I'm just checking to see what the folks here should expect. So I'm like, okay, I got some big tippers out there. All right.
Well, I mean, you're gonna pay out anyway, Like if you didn't go to customer service, you were gonna
Yeah,
around
no,
240
absolutely.
was gonna come out.
Okay, because they're going to pay the person who does so dinner with the captain. Talk to me about that. That still happens?
So dinner at the captain still happens. However, it seems like this is more of a status thing. So the higher your status, you can kind of get dinner with the captain. It's not like
It's not automatic anymore?
not everybody
No,
thing.
see, okay.
All right, so
All right,
that's
so
a change.
okay, so that's a change.
All right,
All
on
right.
most ships.
Okay.
All right,
So now we're talking excursions.
excursions.
So we talked before a little bit about you can choose to do the excursions through the cruise ship, which will be your most expensive option.
Right.
But you also will vet people in different places
Right.
because now you've done this a few times where it's they're still coming off of a site. So what's the site again?
So I have a link for Viator.
Okay.
All right, so and a lot of times, they're just regular people, right? They're not trying to teach you. Like I made one booking and I put it for the next day by accident. So the guy calls me, he's like, "Yo, all right, what time should I pick you up? You're coming in tomorrow." Tomorrow, so this booking is not until like 2 months from now.
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh, you pressed the wrong button." So I was like, "Oh, whoops." All right, but I was able to work with him, and I'm like, "Look, listen, I got a group coming. You know, send me your information and excursions you've done and all of that other stuff, and send me your site so I can see different reviews on how you operate, get people back to the ship on time, what have you." And we did that. I met him while we were up in Honduras. Great
So
guy.
how do you vet for so we want to talk a little bit about safety, travel insurance. So first let's start with travel insurance. How does that work with the cruise?
So travel insurance is very interesting, right? So you can get yearly travel insurance, which I guess is what most people do. They buy the whole year contract, maybe around $600, $700 or something like that.
Okay. Is that what most people do? I mean, I don't do that.
Yeah,
So
a lot of people do.
Okay.
That. All right, because if they're going to travel more than once,
Okay.
then you don't need to get insurance each time.
Okay.
All right.
But then you can get insurance is that going to cover the plane insurance people or you need a separate?
That's a outside insurance, so it's not the cruise line.
Okay. So
Right.
so we have option one, totally outside travel insurance. Got it.
Right.
Cruise line has a travel insurance?
Cruise line does have a travel insurance, but that covers the cruise line, right? That doesn't cover your plane.
Yeah. So, but if something happens and
On the cruise.
they never cancel the cruise, obviously.
Right.
But if something happens on the cruise, like you get sick or anything like that, it covers the doctors and whatever on the cruise.
Right. And very important here, if they airlift you, like you may see on TV that you got airlifted, that's a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
Lots of money. All right. So definitely having travel insurance, if you're having was mainly a good idea, but if you're having medical issues or something like that, it is definitely recommended to get that because if there's a situation you get airlifted.
Well, how much is the cruise travel insurance?
Sometimes it's about it could be like $90 to $100
On
or
total
so per person.
per person, but like for the whole trip.
Right.
Okay. So, but the cruise travel insurance. So if you're just going on the cruise, you're flying. You would take the airplane travel insurance,
Right.
and then you would take the cruise travel insurance.
Right.
Because they're like two separate events.
Exactly.
Unless you do kind of the yearly thing, like you said, that's like $600
Right.
for the year.
And you can get an individual on that too, which is outside insurance.
Okay.
Outside individual for that one trip.
Okay.
But that'll cover everything versus just the cruise line.
Okay.
Right.
Any exclusions we should know about?
Yes, actually. So
Great question, Suki.
yeah, great question. Great question. So for some reason, and I've used a few different companies, like New York, I don't know what they have going on there. That's not something they like to cover. All right, so
What do you mean, New York? They're not going to cover what?
let's say you're at Carnival and you're trying to get the insurance. Mm-hmm. If you're from New York, then you can't get the insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird.
That's a
thing.
bummer for New York folks. Okay.
Yeah. And I've seen that with a few, not just like Carnival, a few different insurance companies. They're like, "Oh, New York,
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But some of them have like just a general, like I have an insurance company that has a general thing, but it's like cancel for any reason. With New York, can't do it.
But the plane one won't cover you because I remember when we went to Ecuador.
Right.
I told you, Dallas had to be hospitalized.
Right.
So the bill came out to like $2,300.
Right.
And the travel insurance that I got from the plane, like that one, actually covered the hospital bill. So I'm wondering like why the plane one. I mean, I just don't know. The plane one wouldn't cover the cruise. I mean, maybe things have changed. It's been a while.
So they're not connected to separate companies. Like your plane, you're covering if you can't make the flight. If you
Well, you're covering more than that because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the travel insurance, when you get it off the plane, it covers you for up to 60 or 90 days out of the country in some way. So that's what I reimburse for. So we're gonna have to look up our stuff, folks.
Right.
For the travel insurance. I typically, when people travel a lot, I generally recommend that they do Safety Wing.
Right.
Because it's like monthly, but it will take care of like any big hospital
The big
bills and things like
hospitals,
that.
right.
Because that is a thing. If you have to be airlifted, and then if you have to be airlifted to the closest hospital, a lot of these travel insurances are reimbursable. They're not necessarily, I give you the money first.
Right.
So I had to pay the $2,300, whatever it came up to, and then they gave me the money back.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's a
you have to
whole
have money out of pocket.
Yes.
For,
So having insurance is yes, but also having the money to pay for it.
Sure.
Okay, so we've talked about Carnival a lot. So talk to me about the other cruises,
right. So
the other cruise lines.
all right. Royal Caribbean, similar to Carnival. They have okay, in my opinion, an okay family room. All right, and a little bit of the step up. So if you don't want the party cruise and you kind of just want to chill, then you go to Royal Caribbean. Now, I will say this, all right. So you went to a Royal Caribbean cruise, not the Monarch of the Seas, but a different one, Freedom of the Seas, right? A weekend cruise. All right. When we get on there, in Carnival, there is a cruise director. They usually have a large following. Everybody knows who they are. They go specifically for the cruise director because they make the ship fun.
Okay.
Right. When we get on this Royal Caribbean, there's no cruise director, and it's like just the captain. All right. So the captain is speaking, but it wasn't like fun sail away party or anything like that. It was kind of, you just do whatever you want to do, which is quite a significant change when you see like
Carnival. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talk about your traveling personality, if you're kind of looking for someone to kind of take care of even the fun stuff, because you're right, I do remember that from Royal Caribbean. So I actually loved that. You just figure out where you're going to go yourself. But they definitely didn't have as many of the whole party things going. They just had a lot of stuff going on the boat.
Right. So
and you had to figure out.
You had to kind of figure out, like, I mean, there's a few parties on Carnival, but like the sailaway party, that's the one that you'll see on Instagram a lot.
Okay.
That's because, they have a big party while they're leaving, and you'll even see people from other cruise lines going to see, like, oh man, there's a Carnival one that's, popping off right there. But this one is kind of like we sailed away, and then you kind of do your own thing.
So you didn't like that?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Okay.
Right. But they did have a few pluses. They definitely have ice skating rinks on Royal Caribbean. The Broadway shows. Some of them have bumper cars. Now, there are a few. We went on a smaller ship. Maybe that's the reason. Utopia of the Seas just came out, which is the biggest weekend. So this is kind of like the Icon of the Seas, the biggest cruise ship.
Yeah.
Except this one is just a weekend, which I think is a great idea because normally when you're going on a weekend trip, you're going on a smaller ship. So the fact that you can go on
a big ship
for the weekend gives a lot more variety. Okay. All right. This is going to definitely cost you though a little bit more than a Carnival cruise though. But these guys are kind of close together. Okay. All right. The next tier up.
We're going up or down?
Up.
Up. Okay. Yeah.
So now let me get back to the food is okay too. Depends on which ship. Food wasn't the greatest for me, but depends on which ship. Now, what I do want to recommend is that the specialty dining. Do this specialty dining at least once. All right.
So is it included or is it
This
extra?
is separate.
Okay.
But like going back a little bit, let's say Carnival, right? When I went with Dave, he's telling me about the Wagyu steak, right? That was seasoned and all of that other stuff, or braised. I was like, man, this thing was only like $33 for a person, right?
Okay.
And they gave me a 4-course meal.
Okay.
And I was like, man, the Wagyu steak itself is usually over $100. So this was definitely a plus.
Okay.
Right. So definitely on any of these ships, get the specialty dining that gives you a little bit out from the buffet, but they have some of the best chefs out there that are, making magic with the food. So that's definitely something to check out.
Okay.
All right.
So we have Carnival, we have Royal Caribbean. Who's next?
So next up, the next tier, and which I didn't realize they were tiers until later on, is like Princess Cruises. Right?
Okay.
So Princess is a Carnival brand, but this is like the tier up, right? They're maybe like tea, kind of fancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tier up like money wise too?
Money wise too, yeah.
Okay.
So when we went on Princess, this was like almost double the amount you would pay for a Carnival cruise for a 7-day. But
more than you'd pay for a Royal Caribbean too?
more than pay for a Royal Caribbean.
Okay.
But they do have some nice things, right? So one of the things I did like is you have the option, which this is not available on Royal Caribbean or Carnival, is you have an option when you're getting the package to get the drink package included into your fare.
Okay.
So you get the fare and the drink package included.
Okay.
So what that does is now you're paying a higher amount, but now it's just for the one thing.
I see. Okay.
Right? So you're paying, everything is included. Truly everything is included now. Right?
Okay, got you. Okay.
You get ice cream, like get 2 dessert ice creams, unlimited drinks.
So
tips,
it might
gratuities.
seem a little bit more, but it's not. It might not necessarily be that much more because if the stuff is more stuff is included, then it kind of evens out. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I want you to talk to me about really what you do with people when you go to travel today. We talked about the different cruises. Any major difference in the cabins?
Not necessarily. It depends on the tiers also.
Okay.
So if you start going up, I guess, to like suites, depending on the cruise line, those could be dramatically different.
Okay.
But for the most part, they seem to be the same,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay. So it's really what you're really getting is kind of outside on the boat.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we talked for like 30 seconds about traveling personality.
Right.
So if you're kind of looking for more of a, you figure out what you want to do and all the stuff is there kind of waiting for you, you're more of a Royal Caribbean person.
Right.
If you're looking for somebody's there kind of guiding people through and their job is to kind of uplift everybody, you're kind of a little bit more of a Carnival person. And of course, there are themed cruises. So I talked to you about, my intention is to go on a vegan yoga cruise. And there are a few kind of themed cruises as well that you can look into. Those tend to be independent, so they're not going to be the big stuff and the big boats because these are people just doing smaller themes.
Well, not necessarily. So you can charter out a boat for a theme.
Oh, I see.
So,
okay, so they charter out. Okay.
Yeah.
So they might be doing one. So I guess I'll have to look at the ones that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Let's Travel today. So everyone's heard of a travel agent, right? So that's not anything new. But it's more of what's the difference in your being a travel agent, for someone? How much do you do? How far do you go? How much do you take care of them?
All right. So to start this, let's start with the beginning, right? So when I first became a travel agent, I would, do travel for my mom. I would do travel for my father-in-law because my wife used to work for an airline. Okay. And one day when we went to Cuba, one of the last Cuba cruises out there, I found myself, this was our first cruise, everybody in my family, found myself doing all the research and all of that other stuff for the trip, right? So I'm there, I'm doing the research, all right, and I had a few questions, okay? So I'm calling the guy up, right? This guy's in Miami, and I think he's, I'm not sure, Puerto Rican or something like that, all right? And at first I called him, asking him a few questions, and then if I want to come asking me more questions, all right? But I was like, I don't want to call back, I had the guy's number, and like it's me, because I don't have the questions. It's my father-in-law that has the questions, and he didn't want to call.
Okay.
So now I'm calling to him, and I'm pretending like I'm him, right? Like I'm his name,
Okay.
right? And the guy's telling me like I do these suits and all this other stuff, and I already did all the research, but I didn't have those specific answers.
Okay.
Right. So I'm calling him, and this guy's probably like, man, like this dude called me again. Like 10 minutes later, this guy's calling me. Right. So after doing that a few times, then I'm like, oh, this is like easy money for like the cruise planner, because I already know all of the stuff. I'm just calling in and asking those simple questions, and he's getting the commission out of it.
Well, is it easy? Because, you spent a lot of money. Not money. You spent a lot of time on the research.
Right. No. It wasn't easy for me.
Oh, no, it wasn't easy for you.
It was easy for the guy.
Yeah, but because after a while, he knew the stuff.
Right. He knew already the questions that I was asking him.
Yes.
So I was like, I did all the research, and now I'm asking him.
Yes.
So then I figured that I may be able to do this myself for other people.
Okay.
All right. So.
So when people question the commission, right? Because everybody's always questioning commission. What's your justification for the commission?
All right. Well, you have a research fee in the beginning.
Okay.
The research fee kind of.
Well, how much is it? We just might put it all out there.
Sure. The research fee for 1 to 4 is about
1 to 4 people?
1 to 4 people, about $25. 4 to 8, about $50. Over $100.
No, I'm sorry, I must have missed it. So your research fee is $25 to $800?
No.
No, okay.
Over 8 people. That's $100.
Oh, over 8. Okay. This is very reasonable, folks. So let's just say this again, okay? So your research fee is $25 for 4 people.
Right.
And then if it gets kind of bigger, more people, then it's more. But I'm just saying this is very, very reasonable for the information, like very. So you might have heard research fee before and you didn't know what the number was, so you didn't kind of say, okay, I'm going to do it. Now you know the number, no reason not to go ahead and do it. Right. Okay.
Now, with the research fees, what happens is you get a curated itinerary. Right?
Okay.
So I'll set up a page for you. I'll set up flights, information, hotel.
These are all
resorts.
suggestions. When you say curated itinerary, you're just suggesting to them.
Right, based off, I have a form that you fill out that gives me an idea of what you're looking for and the dates. And then I come back with my suggestions based off of the information you provided.
Okay.
All right. And then once we settle, then, obviously I give you a personalized itinerary, tell you when payments are collected and stuff like that.
Okay.
But this is specific to you.
So first you could just do the research. So before you decide to go at all, you're just like, I'm going to do the research. And I say to you, I'm looking for a vegan cruise. I'm looking to go next February. And you go and you figure out if this thing even exists.
Well, I start off with a form.
Okay.
All right. So the form states, all right, one is the date you're looking for. How many people are you trying to go with?
Okay.
Which areas are you trying to go?
Okay.
South Caribbean or whatever. If it's a cruise, what type of cabin or whatever. This way it narrows it down for me.
Okay.
And then in the special section in notes, I'm looking for a vegan cruise.
Okay.
All right. So now I'll look that up based off of the criteria here, because now that definitely narrows down.
Yes. What is it that the person
what we're looking for.
Okay. And then once they book, then you get a commission from that.
Right. So the commission, I normally don't charge the person a commission, and that's the reason for that is the place already gives the commission, the hotel gives the commission, or the cruise line already pays me.
But they're not going to pay. They don't have to pay you more money than they would if they went directly themselves.
Right. They don't have to pay me more money.
Okay.
For it.
So basically, if we're going to do the short version, this is you get to go on the cruise, pay the same money you would have paid anyway, but you actually have somebody else there who can help you and is kind of a partner with you.
Right. And
Okay.
sometimes I find better rates.
Okay. All right. Sometimes better deals. Okay.
deals.
So then it's this kind of a no-brainer. There's no reason not to, if nothing else, even do the research on some possible options.
Right. It's a common misconception on that. Like, well, and some travel agents obviously they charge more. We go on a lot of trips. Okay, mostly to curate the place, kind of like what we're doing here, to check to make sure it's legit. And
Can you imagine that my own brother came to Oaxaca and said, I got to check and make sure you're legit? Okay. I don't know what's happening there. Like my word was not enough. That's okay.
Quality
That's
of
okay.
care. So, I'm gonna put my name behind it. That
Because my word wasn't enough. I'm just saying. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. My reviews didn't mean anything. It's all right. Don't worry.
But anyway, our theory behind it is, when we go on these trips, we're like, oh man, I wish I could have been there, or you can experience this. We're not really just about trips. We want you to experience it. We want you to have the memories. When we went to Italy one time in Rome, we asked for garlic bread. That's not a thing over there. So the guy gave us a clove, and the butter was like, do you? Right. So, that's a culture, different culture shock here. But we did the whole thing in 1 week. So I could tell you what's going on in Florence, I could tell you what's going on in Rome, tell you what's going on in Venice. And we had the experience to kind of guide you on the right place. All right. So more about history and experiences versus just the itinerary. I want you to come back and say, man, remember that time I did this, this, and this. All right. And I want you to go and be like, oh yeah, you went on this trip last week, or you went on that trip. You forget about trips. You remember experiences.
That is true. And actually, I'm going to leave you guys with that. That'll be the final word. So thank you, Guy, for obviously coming out to Oaxaca and just, coming with the family and singing karaoke with me on Saturday. That was nice, and salsaing on Sunday, whatever day we did that. There's more to come, obviously, in this trip, but thank you for just coming out with the family and, trusting us here at La Soleil with a new experience that's different from the cruise experience.
Right. So just want a real quick aside. We also do other experiences, and we're trying to advance into experiences to kind of curate the perfect trip for you. So coming out to a place like La Soleil provides different
types of experience for different types of travelers.
Right.
Okay.
Or coming out to going to Italy and stuff like that. Those provide different type of experiences. So we're here for everybody. Any type of trip you want, we could do all of it, not just cruises.
Okay. Well, I will leave that as the final word. Thank you again. I'm going to salud. Salud. Sí, gracias. Thank you again so much. Oh, you know it's like tequila. You're going to be in trouble. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Got to kiss the mezcal. Thank you again so much for joining us on Siesta with Suki. This is good. This is actually our memory. So when I look back on this episode, I will remember the time that you came with the family to visit us in Oaxaca, and we appreciate that so much. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on Siesta with Suki. Ciao.